Okay, the YEA, or the Young Entrepreneurs Association, is a Jordanian non-governmental organization. It was established at the end of 1998. We have about 160, 170 members, and we try to promote the concept of entrepreneurship in Jordan as a cornerstone for national economic development. We have projects, some of which deal with, let us say, macro items, dealing with, let us say, the business environment. We work on public policy and advocacy. I've worked towards trying to change some laws that make the environment more amenable to entrepreneurial startups for small companies and for people who wish to embark on building their own economic future. And then we have a variety of micro-type activities that deal with training, capacity building, skills building, developing of networks, things of this sort. So we have an eclectic variety of things that we do for our members. There are two projects that I think have been defining for the YEA. The first one is the Jordan Vision 2020 national initiative. The YEA championed the development of a national economic developmental initiative starting in 2000-2001. This was the first time that the private sector had ever gotten together towards conceptualizing what Jordan of the future would look like. And we set an objective for ourselves of doubling per capita GDP by 2020, which was the first time that actually the private sector ever even thought about how to participate in achieving something like this. Usually the private sector had been very reactive to what the government wanted, and this is the first time the private sector actually saw themselves as part of the solution versus a cog in a wheel. They were part of a system. The first one that we did, phase one, I thought was very, very effective. The government, I think, was extremely accepting of the recommendations that were made. 54 different recommendations were made over the past 5-6 years. About 60-70% of the recommendations have been implemented. This was followed up by phase two. One of the weaknesses in the first phase was it was not a holistic enough of an approach. We had made the assumption, wrongfully so, that the private sector was well tasked, was mature, had the skill sets, and that it was the public sector that was keeping back economic growth. The second phase of this was more even-handed and required not only the government to make changes, but also the private sector was more introspective as to what sort of changes they had to do and how they would participate in the economy through the types of investments they would do, through how many jobs they thought they would create. So JV 2020, Jordan Vision 2020, is, I think, a defining thing that we had done. And it's important also to mention, before going to the next one, that we had developed a consortium of 37 public sector and private sector institutions that had worked on this. We had, I think, over 20 business associations working with us on that. The second one is something that we had done with SAIP, which was the Sawtuna initiative, which was in Arabic means our voice. And again, YEA developed a consortium of 10 other NGOs, and to deal with, let us say, to do advocacy work on developing or on improving the business environment. We worked on a variety of things. One thing that we're very proud of currently is that we changed one of the laws that had to do with the registration of limited liability companies. We brought that down from 30,000 Jordanian dinars to 1,000 Jordanian dinars. And the hope is that with the reduced barrier of entry into establishing your own limited liability company, that more people from the private sector, more young people, actually participate in economic activity. We had done other things as well in terms of trying to speed up internal processes at the Ministry of Industry and Trade and at the the Greater Amman Municipality for licensing companies and registering companies. That's still underway, but we're very proud of what we've done, and we hope to continue with the Sautuna project and continually work on making the business environment more appealing and less hostile to startups and entrepreneurs.